name is Christina, and I'm going to be refuting my opponent's claim on Nafta. So according to the USTR, Nafta is a free trade agreement that created the world's largest free trade area, which today has 442 million people and a combined gross domestic product of USD 15.4 trillion. Since 1994, each of the Nafta partners has experienced strong economic growth, increased trade and investment flows, and rising prosperity. Manufacturers, farmers, ranchers, and service providers have greater export opportunities while consumers have enjoyed lower prices and more choices. So according to USTR, from 1993 to 2007, trade among the Nafta nations has more than tripled, from 297 billion to 930 billion. Business investment in the United States has risen by 117% since 1993 compared to a 45% increase between 1979 and 1993. And also according to USTR, by lowering tariffs and trade barriers, the NAFTA has bolstered trade among the three countries. From 1993 to 2006, trade among the NAFTA countries has almost tripled from USD 340 billion to 903 billion. Each day, the NAFTA partners conduct nearly USD 2.5 billion in trade. The NAFTA has also deepened business integration in North America. My opponent claimed that NAFTA has cost the U.S. jobs. According to USCR, U.S. employment rose from 110.8 million people in 1993 to 137.6 million in 2007, an increase of about 24%. The average unemployment rate was 5.1% in the period 1994 to 2007 compared to 7.1% during the period 1980 to 1993. Also, according to Robert Batterson and Murray Whittenben, NAFTA economies are growing at twice the rate of those in the European Union, an average 3.6% annually the past 7 years versus just 1.8%. NAFTA countries outstripped Europe in job growth too, 38% in Mexico since 1992 and 13% in the United States and Canada. During the same period, Europe just saw 3% growth in job creation. The value of manufactured goods imported to the U.S. more than doubled from 1991 to 1998. Yet during the same period, U.S. manufacturing output rose by 40% and domestic employment in manufacturing increased by 366,000. And claimed that NAFTA has suppressed U.S. wages. According to USDR, U.S. business sector real hourly compensation rose by 1.5% each year between 1993 and 2007 for a total of 23.6% over the full period. And also, NAFTA has been very good for Mexico and Canada. For agriculture, Canada and Mexico alone only account for 50% of the increase in U.S. agricultural exports to the world since 1993. NAFTA has been good for Mexican agriculture. Trade growth has been remarkably balanced with U.S. agricultural exports to Mexico increasing by 7.3 billion and U.S. agricultural imports from Mexico increasing by 6.7 billion during the last 13 years. So it's claimed that NAFTA hurts the agricultural sector. According to NAFTANow.org, NAFTA has led to increasingly integrated agricultural and agri-food trade within the North American market. Since 1993, agricultural and agri-food trade and investment flows between the NAFTA partners has grown with overall agricultural trade reaching about US 50 billion. The NAFTA partners are one another's largest agricultural export markets. Canada and Mexico are the two largest agricultural suppliers to the United States, and the United States is the leading agricultural provider to both the Canadian and Mexican markets. U.S.-Mexico agricultural trade reached 26.9 billion in 2008. As NAFTA has contributed to further integration of the trading partners' agricultural sectors, Mexican industries have required more U.S. agricultural inputs. For example, U.S. feedstuffs have increased Mexican meat production and consumption. Likewise, the importance of Mexican produce to U.S. fruit and vegetable consumption is growing. Grains, oilseeds, meat, and related products make up 3/4 of U.S. agricultural exports to Mexico, while beer, vegetables, and fruit account for 3/4 of U.S. agricultural imports from Mexico. And also, according to David Williams, Mexico's agricultural exports have also benefited from NAFTA. While Mexico has run a consistent annual deficit of around 1.5 billion with the United States, its agricultural exports to the United States have nearly doubled since NAFTA's inception and were up 9% through August 2003 from a year earlier. Freer trade and increased competition have helped provide lower cost inputs for Mexico's livestock and food processing industries. Lower rates of inflation for food products have played a key role in stabilizing overall inflation since 1994. And when it comes to Mexican farmers, since there is competition, NAFTA actually established a program to help Mexican farmers. So according to Villarreal, anticipating the possible effects of NAFTA on farmers, the Mexican government established the program of direct support for the countryside, Programa de Apoyos Directos para el Campo, in 1993. It provided income support to farmers over a 15-year transitional period through hectare-based direct payments to producers. And it's claimed NAFTA has not delivered benefits to U.S. agriculture. According to USTR, Canada and Mexico accounted for 37% of the total growth of U.S. agriculture exports since 1993. Moreover, the share of total U.S. agriculture exports destined for Canada or Mexico has grown from 22% in 1983 to 30% in 2007. NAFTA access is most crucial for agriculture when Mexico has its highest MFN tariffs. Mexico is the top export destination for beef, rice, soybean meal, corn sweeteners, apples, and dry edible bean exports. It is the second export market for U.S. corn, soybeans, and oils, and third largest for pork, poultry, eggs, and cotton. And the claim NAFTA has reduced wages in Mexico. Actually, NAFTA, according to USTR, has increased wages. So since the 1994 peso crisis, it has increased each year ever since. Several studies note that Mexican industries that export or that are in regions with a higher concentration of foreign investment and trade also have higher wages. And when it comes to NAFTA hurts workers by eroding labor standards and lowering wages, according to NAFTA.org, the NAFTA partners negotiated and implemented a parallel agreement on labor cooperation, the North American Agreement on Labor Cooperation. The NAALC adds a social dimension to NAFTA. Through the NAALC, the regional trading partners seek to improve working conditions and living standards and to protect, enhance, and enforce basic workers' rights. And according to the environment, NAFTA has nothing to do with the environment. According to NAFTA.org, the NAFTA partners negotiated a parallel agreement on environmental cooperation, the North American Agreement on Environmental Cooperation. The NAAEC commits the NAFTA partners to work cooperatively to better understand and improve the protection of their environment. The agreement also requires that each NAFTA partner effectively enforce its environment laws. The Commission for Environmental Cooperation, established under the NAAEC, has produced concrete improvements in the management of North American environmental issues. With a budget of $9 million annually, some initiatives of the Commission include the development of North American management practices for toxic chemicals, establishment of the first Mexican National Air Emissions Inventory, launch of the North American Bird Conservation Initiative, which provides a resource for bird conservation programs in 3 countries, and promotion of best practices to address the linkages between the environment, the economy, and trade. Thank you.